Good afternoon, friends. You are listening to Full Toss on Radio Dil, online radiodil.com for iPhone downloads, application known as Radio Dil. You can also listen to us on your regular phones, dialing the number 408-418-5000 for Android phones, application known as TuneIn Radio. Phone number in the studio 732-800-1008. आप सुन रहे रेडियो दिल, दिल से दिल तक. Time in the studio is 2:05, February 16, 2013. This is your host, Amit. Would like to welcome you for our show Full Toss. And above all, Amarnath, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you very much, Amit. It's a typical wintry day in New Jersey, but I'm sure everybody is following cricket everywhere.
Amarnath, we have a jam-packed show in our hands today.
Okay, go ahead.
As always, we'll definitely have a coverage of all the series that are going on across the globe. We'll start our discussion today with South Africa and Pakistan test match.
Oh,
what
that's
a wonderful
cracker.
test match. Absolutely phenomenal.
It's a cracker.
And we'll also talk about New Zealand and England.
Okay.
England is, New Zealand is hosting England. We'll also talk about the upcoming India versus Australia, slated to be started next week.
Yes, that's a big series.
Indeed, sir. Also, we have our Women's World Cup that is also going on. So we'll talk about the Women's World Cup. Amarnath, and time permitting, we'll get into West Indies and Zimbabwe because I know we also have our This Day in Cricket segment. I have some Did You Knows. And so let's see how things go.
Okay.
Time permitting, we'll get into West Indies and Zimbabwe. I know, Amarnath, you have been really busy.
Yes.
You have been busy watching South Africa and Pakistan.
Morning 3:30, I have to wake up and watch the game.
I know. Not only that, you also have another task out for you. You also do your analysis. By the way, those of our listeners who log on to fulltosscricket.com, our blog, Amarnath also he'll have all his fundamental analysis, which he does it on air also.
Yes.
But it's really interesting to read that.
Okay.
And including myself, there are listeners who listen to your analysis on air. And when I go back home, I actually read that. And it's a phenomenal feature. I congratulate you for inventing that.
Thank you very much.
It puts a lot of perspective. And those of us who follow this game in detail, I think it really helps.
Okay.
So we'll definitely have some discussion on that. Once again, it's fulltosscricket.com. We're also on YouTube, and I also want to thank our listeners for giving us their support on our YouTube channel, Amarnath.
Yes, I find that quite a regular number of hits are taking place on the YouTube channel. That fills me with a lot of joy that there are others willing to listen to us after the show is over.
Indeed, sir. Now, I believe you can also subscribe to that channel.
Yes, that's the feature in YouTube. This channel, you can subscribe so that you get notified whenever any new content is uploaded.
Now, there are no charges for this subscription? Or
nothing. There is zero
click
charges.
The button and, easy enough. Those of you who go to YouTube and...
So you can see it on your smartphone, you can see it on your PC or a tablet or wherever you want to.
Well, Amarnath, here we go. Pakistan and South Africa. Let me go ahead and share the scorecard with our listeners. Those of you who haven't seen this match completely, here's how things unfolded. Right now we're at day 3 at stumps. Pakistan leads South Africa by 112 runs with 7 wickets remaining. How did they get here? Let's see. Pakistan batting first were all out for 338. It was a pretty shaky start for Pakistan.
Very shaky start.
It wasn't until Yunus Khan stepped in. If you look at Mohammad Hafiz, Nasir Jamshed, Azhar Ali, they were all out for not many runs.
For very low scores.
And that's where Yunus Khan comes in. In fact, Misbah ul Haq also was dispatched at the score of 0.
Yes.
But it was Asad Shafiq and Yunus Khan. They steadied the ship for Pakistan. 111 each. 111 for Yunus Khan, 111 for Asad Shafiq. And lower down the order, you also had Tanveer Ahmed, who scored 44. Amarnath, that really helped Pakistan get to a total. In fact, I should also mention Saeed Ajmal's innings of 21.
21 not out.
21 not out. That helped Pakistan get to a pretty decent total of 338. Given the fact, the kind of attack they were facing, I personally thought Yunus and Asad really played well.
It is a very good partnership, very much needed to boost the morale of Pakistan.
Indeed.
If Pakistan are going to win this test, they can thank that particular partnership for setting the way for Pakistan to recover and refresh.
Once again, Yunus asserted why experience is needed at that level.
Yes. You have to remember, he's a batsman of 50 plus average. I always consider any batsman who has scored more than 5,000 runs and at an average of 50 plus is not an ordinary batsman. He's an extraordinary batsman. And to score in Cape Town wicket against some very hostile bowling, you have to remember, Pakistan were 33 for 4. And from 33 for 4, they recover and
yes.
338. The last 6 wickets add 300 runs. That's amazing performance.
Now, in his innings, Yunus Khan's innings of 111, he faced 226 deliveries, 7 boundaries and 3 sixes.
Yes, very steady innings.
Yes, indeed. And at an average of 49.11. And Asad Shafiq, 111 of 230 deliveries, 14 boundaries and a 6.
Yes.
338, a respectable total.
What impressed me was, apart from Yunus, he's an old war horse, if I can call it.
Yes.
I was very impressed with Asad Shafiq's innings.
It's funny you mentioned that. Go ahead.
Asad Shafiq and Azhar Ali, I would rate, are the new young guns of Pakistan.
Correct.
And Asad Shafiq has proved it in the first innings. He scored a very composed 111. He never really got flustered too much. He took some time to settle down, and then he played a wonderful innings.
And in response, South Africans come into bat. Graham Smith along with Alvaro Peterson. 19 for Smith, 17 for Peterson. Hashim Amla, 25. Duplessis, 28. Jack Collis. This is what I want to talk to you about. Mm-hmm. He was given LBW. Saeed Ajmal was the bowler at the score of 2. Now, I guess the ICC has come back and admitted. Apologize. That was indeed an error.
Yes.
Now, I'm sure you have seen that. But let me just read the scorecard and then we'll delve into Jack Collis as well. 61 for A.B. de Villiers, 23 for Elgar. Peterson, Robin Peterson, 84, 22 for Philander, 10 for Stein and Morkel, 8 not out. South Africans were all out for 326. 6 wickets for Saeed Ajmal.
He had a brilliant performance from Ajmal Khan.
What a performance. I absolutely enjoyed his bowling, Amarnath.
See, he knew how to take the advantage of a wicket which was fairly well, no longer supporting pace.
Correct.
And he really rattled the South African batsmen. They were all well set. It is not that he just ran through them. 25-30. He really troubled every one of them. And that's what made all the difference. And I think he's proving to be the next Saqlain Mushtaq for Pakistan. And he bowled absolutely brilliantly, and he consolidated the gains for Pakistan on day 2.
Mohammad Irfan also took 3 wickets, a wicket for Mohammad Hafiz. But I also thought even Umar Gul had bowled brilliantly. True. In fact, at one end, he was holding the end for Ajmal when he was doing all the damage.
True.
Even though he was wicketless, Umar Gul, but in his 20 overs, 5 maidens.
The Pakistan bowling attack was superb. It had variety, it had pace, it had... you could ask, whatever you asked, it was there. It was the luck of for the South African batsmen that they did not have to face Junaid. Junaid was injured. So that really put Pakistan a bit back. But it shows the depth of the Pakistan bench. Pakistan bowling bench is very strong. Without having Junaid, they were able to rattle the South African batsmen. And I would rate the South African batting as one of the strongest today in the batting lineups. And they were put to the test by the Pakistan bowling. It's a great credit to Pakistan's bowling, especially given the fact they didn't have Junaid Khan and they managed to... This test is... continue.
Go ahead. Finish.
Add one thing. On day 1, I was a bit surprised when Graham Smith put the Pakistanis into bat. When Cape Town wicket, they were not, they didn't expect a very fast wicket. Even then, so he was just trying to... hoping that the first test fever would continue into the second test. And the first session indicated that Graham Smith was right. But then once Asad Shafiq and Yunus Khan recovered, if you put the normal rule of thumb is, if you put somebody into bat, you better get them all out within 250. Otherwise, your decision is a poor decision. Your decision, the captain's decision
Indeed.
of to field. if they can't get them out within 250, it is really boomeranged on you.
Right now, the match is poised at a very interesting corner now. In Pakistan, in the second innings, 100 for after losing 3 wickets. Stein and Philander, they took wickets of Hafiz and Jamshed. They were both gone for duck. Still batting is Azhar Ali at 45. Yunus Khan was bowled by Stein.
That was a great, great contest.
Indeed. It was. Yes.
It was
Thanks
a great contest. Again, you could see why Stein is one of the most hostile fast bowlers. He was...
In fact, he's one of the best fast bowlers we have in present day.
I never really believed that somebody would come in the class of either Courtney Walsh or Ambrose. He reminds me more of Ambrose in terms of hostility. Like Ambrose never liked to be hit.
No.
He never had a smile on his face. You don't find Stein smiling too much.
Yes.
He's aggressive. And it was a tremendous contest between Stein and Yunus Khan. And finally, when Yunus Khan was getting impatient, he tried to drive him off the back foot, and the ball had an inside edge and it castled him. You could see he was testing him with short ones, over-pitched ones, any which way to a little bit of sledging. Everything was going on.
Well, again, Amarnath, this next individual that I'll be talking about is Misbah-ul-Haq. He's a silent assassin. And once again, 36. He's got 2 boundaries and 3 sixes. And he has Azhar Ali who's well set now, Amarnath.
Yes, and you've got Sarfraz and others still to come.
Asad Shafiq, who's had a brilliant century in the first innings. Then, yes, you're right, Sarfraz, who's yet to come. I believe if Misbah and Azhar, if they continue the way they were playing before the stumps, even tomorrow, I would give another hour and a half in the morning. If they get settled, Pakistan can very well take this game away from South Africans.
I would say the edge is with Pakistan.
Yes, indeed.
The edge is with Pakistan. Anytime, if they get a lead of 275 runs, they have it almost in the bag. Nothing is 100%.
We had a caller. Go ahead, Amarnath.
Okay. I would say that Pakistan needs minimum of 250 to defend it. But you can never know. With Saeed Ajmal running through the innings, they can even get the opposition team out for 72, like how they did against England sometime back. But a reasonable total for Pakistan to defend would be 250 to 275. Anything beyond 275 increases the odds exponentially in favor of Pakistan. Anything below 200 gives South Africa the odds of winning. But I think at this stage, unless tomorrow morning there's a collapse, I expect Pakistan to put up a decent total and win this match. With Saeed Ajmal spinning, don't forget, even Hafiz can spin very well.
Indeed, sir.
So that it is going to be a test for Amla and Khalis, whether they can really rise to the occasion on such a tough situation.
Just to summarize, Pakistan batting first in their first innings scored 338. In the second innings, they're 100 for 3. And South Africans were bowled out in their first innings at the score of 326. Pakistan leads by 112 runs with 7 wickets remaining day 3 at stumps. And once again, this match is being played in Cape Town.
Picturesque Cape Town.
By the way, I saw Mark Boucher sitting in the stands.
Yes.
They were showing him also. Good to see Mark Boucher.
I hope he has recovered from his eye injury.
Yes, indeed, sir. Well, Amarnath, that was our take on South Africa and Pakistan. Friends, you are listening to Full Toss. This is your host, Amit, along with Amarnath on Radio Dil. We're online. It's a free website, radiodil.com. Phone number in the studios, 732-800-1008. Once again, that is 732-800-1008. You can also catch our show on YouTube on our channel. Just type in Full Toss Cricket Show. You want to send us an email here, info@fulltosscricket.com. And Amarnath, I'll get into New Zealand versus England now.
Okay.
This is also turning out to be as expected. All the hype around whatnot, but here's how things are going to be. This is what I'm looking at right now. The ODI venue fixture for New Zealand versus England. The first ODI will be on February 17th at Hamilton. Second ODI is on February 20th. That will be played at Napier. Third ODI is on the 23rd of February at Auckland.
Yes.
And Amarnath, here's the scorecard for the third T20 between New Zealand and England.
Okay.
And England won this by 10 wickets with 44 balls remaining. New Zealand batting first in 20 overs After losing 8 wickets, he scored 139. 59 for Martin Guptill, 26 for Brandon McCullum, 15 each for Elliott and James Franklin. And 3 wickets for Stuart Broad and Dernbach, each for England. And England had no trouble getting this total.
That's why I'm not doing a fundamental analysis. It is a very trivial exercise.
In 12.4 overs, they achieved this with Michael Lum not out at 53 and 80 for Hales. I have seen him bat. Not even before the Indian tour.
He's
I've
a
seen him
20-20 specialist.
Yes, indeed, sir. And in fact, I've been following him from the county days. And he's an explosive batsman, tailor-made for the T20s.
T20s is throwing up new types and new kinds of stars, which are not your traditional type of cricketers. And it's interesting to see. It's a different game.
Yes, indeed.
So you're going to have different kinds of players.
Going into the one-dayers, Amarnath, your take on both the teams, New Zealand as well as England. Now, I know New Zealand had a pretty good series against South Africans. Not too long ago.
They did very well in South Africa, but I have a feeling that England is going to do quite well in this series. Because given the fact they did so well in India.
Yes.
Given the fact this is...
both the teams have a great momentum going on for them.
England, though it lost 3-2 to India, they did much better than what was expected. Everyone expected a whitewash against England, which didn't happen. And I would expect a close series. I expect a close series, and I would expect England to win this close, out of the 3 ODIs, 2-1 in favor of England.
2-1 in favor of England. Amarnath, just recently, a few days ago, Matt Pryor had also commented on IPL.
He wanted to play.
You can see that. But he did have a valid point. He absolutely had a valid point when you have IPL coming up, which is going to be starting in April, and a lot of players have commitment towards it. So it makes it very difficult for the national side, or I would say national team. Now, a lot of these teams have different formations. For example, England, they have a certain team for the Test, certain team for the T20s. Captains are also different.
Yes,
I think it's a great concept. It's working out for England very well. Other teams are not far behind either.
Except India.
And that is yet to be tried. And so, yes, I thought it was a pretty good article. He did have a point about that. Nothing can be done, though. I know he was just venting out.
Well, that's something which he or the English players will have to take up with the English cricket board. And at a higher level, I think BCCI needs at some point to come to an understanding with other boards in terms of revenue sharing if they release their players. Because ultimately, the cricket fan would like to see the best of players playing. And from that point of view, if what is in it in the English county board? Money. So tell them you release your best players during that time. We will compensate you in some form or the other. And
I know especially Alex Hales has got a lot of tremendous talent. Not only Hales, but Kevin Peterson, what we saw last year also with Delhi Daredevils. I mean, they just have tremendous amount of talent.
They invented the game. Invented the game. And so it's a sad commentary that India has taken with it and is running. And you can see that other countries are trying to work around the schedule. Small countries like New Zealand, they don't like to have any matches during the IPL because this is one form by which their players can be compensated. Because it's such a small market, they are not going to give very high salaries or high contracts to their local players. So will be the case with the other countries like South Africa, which is again a small market. You don't have a very big market in South Africa, paying public. So same thing with the West Indies. So it's just a matter of time. The other countries also try to work around the schedule and they get compensated adequately. That spirit of give and take has to be there. From all sides.
Amarnath, I have a feel-good story coming up next. And this is coming up. This is coming from the Harris Shield Trophy.
Harris Shield Trophy in Mumbai.
Arman Jaffer scores 473 to break this record, Amarnath.
Arman
Jaffer, nephew of?
Wasim
Jaffer, Amarnath. 7.5 hours, 359 deliveries, 65 boundaries and 16 sixes.
For the Harris Shield.
For by Arman.
Arman, for which team was that?
This is for Mumbai. He was playing, and I'm going to get to that. This was played at the Matunga Gymkhana.
Really wonderful.
And this was the finals between the Rizvi and the IESV, and this was played on Thursday, Amanat. And what an innings by Arman.
Arman Jafar.
Arman Jafar.
So cricket talent runs in the DNA.
Yes, indeed. And again, the previous Harris record, incidentally, was also held by Sarfaraz Khan. That was 439, also from the same school in Bandra.
I think this school is a nursery. They better register it and get more cricketers.
I think this is unbelievable. These boys, this is under 16 team, Amanat, by the way. And I know the record is still there. A lot of people still talk about Tendulkar and Kambli's partnership.
Yes.
With Arman, he lost his partner a little earlier in the innings. But congratulations to him.
Sure.
And I think this is absolutely a feel-good story. I came across this article and I thought we should share this with our listeners as well.
Wonderful, truly wonderful.
Hope to see Arman going up the ranks, performing, and hope he doesn't get sucked into this IPL. Bill says too soon for him right now, but you never know. Well, Amanat, let's get into this day in cricket segment.
This day in cricket.
I have a pretty long list here today.
Today, a long list. Go ahead.
List. February 16th.
February 16th.
1899.
1899.
England versus South Africa in Johannesburg.
England versus South Africa in Johannesburg in 1899. Pelham Warner.
Pelham Warner scores 132 on his Test debut. Unbelievable.
I don't know, because around that time, 1902, 1899, was Pelham Warner's...
Yes.
He used to be known as Plum Warner.
Yes, he was.
Plum Warner's time. I didn't know about his...
He scored 132 on his Test cricket debut that day.
Okay.
This day. Also, February 16, 1952.
February 16, 1952. It can't be in England. It has to be outside England.
Indeed, it is in Australia, New South Wales.
New South Wales, 1952.
Cricket debut at the age of 16. Ian Craig.
Ian Craig, yes. He was a very good cricketer, but he didn't live up to his promise.
No.
But he was a very famous cricketer.
February 16, 1966.
February 16, 1966. Nobody was touring India, but...
This was at MCG, you're right.
MCG. Okay, let me tell you. 1965-66 MCG, it would have been...
307 versus...
Bob Cowper.
Bob Cowper, absolutely
yes,
correct.
I got that.
Unbelievable. I congratulate you for your
No, 65-66 was the Ashes series.
Yes.
Was the Ashes series, and I remember when he said that was one of the few triple centuries I followed very closely as a kid.
And also, Amanat, during the same series, another Australian keeper played his...
Wally Grout.
Wally Grout.
I remember that series. Well,
yes, indeed.
Then Barry Jarman took over.
Correct. February 16, 1972.
February 16, 1972.
The venue is Kingston. The opposition is New Zealand. This individual scores 214 and 100.
Lawrence Rowe.
Test cricket debut for Lawrence Rowe.
When he said 214, and I know.
February 16, 1973. Same venue, Kingston. The only thing is opposition this time is Australia. First time since 1955, West Indies is playing without Gary Sobers.
Okay, yes. Gary Sobers was not dropped. He retired.
He retired, exactly.
He retired.
And February 16, 1996.
February 16, 1996. Okay.
The venue is Rawalpindi.
Rawalpindi, okay.
188 not out for the ex-India coach, Gary Kirsten.
Okay.
At that time he was playing for South Africa.
Okay.
He scored that against UAE.
Oh, UAE. This is the World Cup, I think so.
1996, 188 at Rawalpindi.
Against
UAE. February 16, 2010.
2010. Okay. Recent.
643 for 6 in the first innings of the second test is the highest ever total against South Africa, and that was scored by India.
643 for 6.
643 for 6 in 2010.
In India, it was. It was in India we scored, I remember.
Now we'll go on to the birthdays. We'll move over to the birthdays, Amanat.
Okay, go ahead.
Born February 16, 1886.
1886. Then he would have played around 1910 or so.
Test for England in 1921. Andrew Ducat.
Andrew Ducat. Name sounds... he won't have played too many tests.
No, he hasn't. Also born February 16, 1904.
1904.
West Indian, he's a West Indian cricketer. He's played 6 tests, only has taken 8 wickets, is Ellis Chong.
Ellis Chong, he's the Chinaman founder.
Yes.
Ellis Chong, he's the first Chinese player descent who played Test cricket.
You have talked about him in the past also.
Ellis Chong was he left-arm bowler. He used to, normally they bowl the left-arm off-break. He used to sometimes surprise with a left-arm leg break.
Yes.
And make it come the other way. For a left-arm spinner.
Yes.
And that's why it was called Chinaman, because of his Chinese descent.
Correct. Born February 16, 1931. A leg spinner all-rounder, Gemini Gunasena.
Yeah, Gamini Gunasena of Sri Lanka. He was their captain in the 50s as an unofficial, when they had unofficial status.
He's played for Cyclone, he's played for Notts.
Nottinghamshire, New South Wales. He was a very good cricketer, excellent cricketer. He captained the universities in England. I followed him quite a bit.
Another West Indian, born February 16, 1954.
1950.
Michael Holding.
Oh, Whispering Death. Okay. Congratulations to him. Happy birthday.
And last but not the least, also celebrating birthday today, born February 16, 1978. He recently played for Mumbai, scored a brilliant century, an opener for Mumbai, Wasim Jafar.
Like Arman Jafar, today Wasim Jafar.
Exactly, Wasim Jafar.
Okay.
It's also his birthday. Amarnath will quickly move on to the obituaries. Passed away February 16, 1933.
1933.
Australian batsman, he didn't play that long, is Archie Jackson.
Yes, Archie Jackson was a great batsman. He had an average of more than 50.
Correct.
And he was considered a contemporary of Bradman. But he died of tuberculosis.
Indeed.
Okay, and it was a very sad day when he died. And people wore armbands. There was a test match going, and people wore armbands in memory of his passing away.
In fact, the next one also that I'm going to be talking about, this individual passed February 16, 1936. He was electrocuted. A South African wicketkeeper. He's played 23 tests, Tommy Ward.
Okay.
Passed away February 16, 1945. Test for South Africa versus England in 1896, Billy Frank. Also passed away February 16, 1950. English batsman. He's played 11 tests between 1905 and 1910. David Denton. And also passed away February 16, 1973. Outstanding South African batsman between 1938 and 1939. Peter van der Beege.
Yeah, Van der Beege. He played in the Timeless Test.
Yes, he was the one who played in the Timeless Test.
He played in the Timeless Test. In fact, he scored a century in the first innings and 97 in the second.
Correct, sir.
He missed a century in each innings. They played that test match for 10 days. Timeless Test match.
Yes.
And they had to stop it because they had to go and catch the ship.
Well, friends, you are listening to Full Toss with Amarnath and Amit on Radio Dil. Amarnath will go ahead and take a short drinks break. And when we do come back, we still have to discuss the Women's World Cup and the much-awaited India and Australia. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after these short messages. Welcome back, friends. As promised, it was indeed a pretty short drinks break. Friends, you are listening to Full Toss with Amit and Amarnath on Radio Dil. Online, radiodil.com for iPhone downloads, application known as Radio Dil. You can also listen to us on your regular phones. Just dial in the number 408-418-5000, 408-418-5000 for Android phones, application known as TuneIn Radio. Phone number in the studio 732-800-1008. आप सुन रहे रेडियो दिल, दिल से दिल तक. Amarnath, welcome back to the second half.
Thank you very much, Amit. Pleasure being back.
And kudos to you for getting most of them correct at this day in cricket segment. And just a quick reminder for our listeners, I don't share this list with Amarnath. He has no idea what I'll be talking about. So I
just take a calculated guess. Sometimes it works out. That's all. Not
sometimes. It works out most of the time, Amarnath. Amarnath, before we move on to the Women's World Cup, I have some Did You Knows.
Okay.
And did you know the number of bowlers who have taken 10 wicket hauls conceding less than 30 runs in test? I have a list here. 10 wicket hauls conceding less than 30 runs in a test.
Oh, that's really impressive.
This is an elite class, Amarnath.
Oh my God, go ahead.
So they are Brett Ironmonger of Australia.
Oh, no, Australia. And Brett Ironmonger, he would have taken that against probably South Africa
in 1929.
32, yeah, around that time.
11 for 24.
11 for 24, yes. Bert Ironmonger.
Number 2 is another Australian. The year is 2000. The opponent is West Indies. It's Glenn McGrath.
Okay.
10 for 27.
10 for 27.
And the next one on the list is an Englishman.
Okay.
Johnny Briggs.
Johnny Briggs, England, the 1890s.
Yes, 1889.
I got it. I nailed that.
You got it. 15 for 28 versus South Africa, man.
15 for 28. Oh, amazing.
15 for 28. This is unbelievable, right?
Unbelievable.
I told you this is an elite class.
So, Johnny Briggs, Glenn McGrath, and Ironmonger.
Ironmonger.
I knew about Ironmonger and McGrath, but I didn't know about Johnny Briggs.
And he achieved that in 1889.
I knew Johnny Briggs was a very great bowler of that time.
Now, this is a very unusual. I like these kind of Did You Knows, Amanat. I hunt for them. We'll definitely post it on our blog also. But did you know the record for most left-handers in a test match, test team is 8?
8 left-handers.
And here's the list. Not far. This is not long ago. Almost a decade ago, I would say. 13 years ago. 2000, West Indies twice had 8 in test in 2000 against Pakistan in Georgetown. And here they are. Jimmy Adams.
Okay.
Curtly Ambrose. Chris Gale. Adrian Griffith. Wavell Hintz. Ridley Jacobs. Brian Lara. And Nixon McLean.
8 left-handed batsmen.
8 left-handed.
Amazing.
And England at the Oval.
Okay.
They also had it at the same time, so this is pretty incredible, Amanat. We'll definitely go ahead and post this on our blog, fulltosscricket.com.
Yes.
These are our Did You Knows. Amanat, let's talk about the Women's World Cup that is happening in India right now.
The ICC recognized Women's World Cup.
Yes, indeed, and thanks. Pun intended. Total pun intended.
No, because finally ICC is giving recognition to women's cricket.
Amanat, this has turned out to be a great tournament.
Very exciting.
India started out so well, but exited in a very great fashion.
It was...
Pun intended again.
It was a great start, but a poor finish.
Indeed, sir.
A very familiar story.
Pakistan started very well. Once again, they did not have good finish. Sri Lanka, I thought, had a pretty interesting... they
had a great run.
They had a great run. So did England.
England, I would say, is a bit disappointing because they were expected to. They were the defending champions and they were expected to win.
But this time, West Indies, they're playing into their maiden final.
They are the surprising entrant into the finals. No one gave them a chance of being a finalist.
West Indies beat Australian women to get into the finals. In fact, West Indies scored 164, and they were all out in 47 overs, and they bowled out. Australia for 156, Amanat, to get into the finals. The finals will be played on February 17th, which is tomorrow, but for us it will be today. Unfortunately, you are not able to see any of these matches, Amanat, anywhere.
But will that be shown on Cricinfo anywhere, I wonder?
We have to see that.
But anyway, so the final is between Australia and West Indies?
West Indies and Australia.
Yeah, my... heart says go with West Indies because it'll be great for West Indies cricket for them to win one more title.
Yes,
but
indeed.
my head says Australia has been winning consistently. They might follow their men and have a clinical win.
Well, let's see what happens. Well, Amanat, that was Women's World Cup, and now we'll get into the most awaited series: Australia versus India.
Okay.
Now, already a lot of. I don't know how to read into this, Amanat, and that's the reason why I'm going to be bringing this up. Now, before we talk about anybody else, just a quick look at the scorecard between the India A and the Australians that is being played in Chennai.
Yes.
And they have created some news themselves. India A batting first scored 338, losing 4 wickets, with Gautam Gambhir 112, 77 not for Rohit Sharma. Manoj Tiwari 77 not out, and giving him company is Gautam and this is Muralidharan Gautam, who is not out at 34. 338 India A.
True.
Against Australians.
So these are the ones who are hoping to get a call if there's a chance, if there is a slot open.
Dhaval Kulkarni is playing, Vinay Kumar is playing, Manpreet Goni is playing in this match. But Gautam Gambhir, who has been dropped for this series, Amanat.
Yes, very surprisingly.
Gautam Gambhir has been dropped from this series. He's made a great statement by scoring a century against the Australians.
Well,
Chennai.
It could be a tactic by the Australians. Allow this guy to score a century and let him come back in the test. We'll get him out quickly.
We'll get him out quickly.
But it can boomerang as well.
You can talk about this all day long.
That is
all
true.
day long, Amanat, you can talk about this.
No, but but sometimes in earlier days, teams did take that kind of a strategy.
Yes, I agree with you. ABC, as you know, that they are now going to be covering the test match
because of BCCI.
This is interesting. This is
the
really
big
good.
bad BCCI, the way the media portrays it out to be.
Amarnath, this is how the fixture looks. The first test will begin on February 22nd through February 26th. That will be played in Chennai, India versus Australia.
Yes. I would say Chennai should give India a decent chance of winning the match in Chennai.
From there, both the teams move up north, I would say up northeast to Hyderabad.
No, Central. Central is Hyderabad.
Hyderabad Central. They go to Hyderabad. The second test will begin on March 2nd through March 6th. Third test will be played at Mohali in Chandigarh.
Expect that to be a fast wicket.
Yes, that will be an interesting thing, and that will begin on March 14th through 18th. And the fourth test will be played at the Firoz Shah Kotla in New Delhi. That will begin on March 22nd, Amarnath.
Yes.
Your take on the upcoming series?
If India wins, India is going to win only maximum 2-1. I cannot see India winning it 4-0, though Harbhajan may...
Yes, Harbhajan has been included, by the way.
Harbhajan is telling we are going to win 4-0. He likes to make at the typical bravado of Harbhajan. I can't see India winning this 4-0. Given the fact that India took a beating from England, when they thought India thought India could beat England very easily, it proved, especially after they won the first test easily, it gave a sense of complacency, and India lost the series against England. I would expect Dhoni and team to pull up their socks and grind out a victory, and the victory is going to be a narrow one at best. I won't be surprised if the series is drawn. That won't surprise me at all. I can't see Australia winning this series. I don't expect to see India losing back-to-back series at home. India has not become that bad as of yet of losing the two series back-to-back. But I would expect either a 1-1 or a 2-1 in favor of India.
One of our listeners, Samanath, has posed a question to us, Vishal from Edison, New Jersey, and I think it was a great question. It's a two-part question on his behalf, and he had mentioned Wasim Akram.
Wasim Akram.
And he said that why we cannot produce another Wasim Akram or somebody like Waqar Younis.
Well, let me slightly rephrase that. Leave alone India. Even Pakistan has not been able to create a Wasim Akram or a Waqar Younis. Very few other countries. These two are legends.
Oh, these two are absolutely.
You can't create legends at the drop of a hat.
I guess his question is more towards getting into the fast bowling or the pace bowling.
But no, we as compared to what it was 20 years back, India is now producing a lot more fast bowlers than what were there 20 years ago. That I can see the new crop of bowlers coming in constantly, and there's a change, and that definitely is a great improvement than what was there before. Now you don't hear of RP Singh and others, but at one time they bowled pretty well. In the 2007 tour, he bowled very well in England. So you're going to see a lot more fast bowlers being chosen. If we improve the condition of our wickets, we need at least 2 or 3 more Mohali wickets.
Yes, indeed. And also another question he had is, what are the chances of having Wasim Akram coach the team, the Indian team, especially the bowling department? Will that ever happen? Can that happen?
That's very unlikely because he's a media commentator. And he's going to be having his major commitments there. I don't think BCCI will be able to entice him with a full-time contract because it doesn't pay that much as a media contract. But he should be called in for special assignments to pep up, prepare some promising bowlers to see them and to correct them or to give them the final touches to somebody who's really good.
Now, Manat, a couple of other players that have gotten a chance now is Shikhar Dhawan.
I was very surprised by Shikhar Dhawan's inclusion.
So was I. Many other people were also surprised about it, especially with Wasim Jaffer playing so superb. He's been playing very good innings.
But one thing about Wasim Jaffer is he's 35 years old. You can't plan for the future having somebody at 35. So that's the only knock against him. Whereas
but why? What was your? Why were you surprised about Shikhar Dhawan's inclusion?
I don't know whether he's in the top rung of opening batsmen in the Ranji. by the sheer numbers.
Fair enough.
That I would say that you have to be the number 1 or number 2 opening batsman in Ranji and rest of India knocks to be considered for India.
Another listener also suggested an idea of horses for the courses, and another name was thrown in the mix was Murli Vijay.
Murli Vijay.
Especially he's playing in Indian conditions, and playing in Chennai. He's devastating there.
I don't know about just Chennai, but he has been scoring well in India. He's a very good fielder, and so if you go strictly by the fact that it's an Indian wicket, he should get a nod. But I would like to take my chances with Rahane.
Another individual's name that crept up with the listeners who have been interacting with us, Amarnath, is yes, Rahane's name was there. Raina, there was no surprises that he was not included, although Raina was pretty upset about it, about being not.
He was disappointed.
He was disappointed.
Not upset. He was disappointed.
He was disappointed that he was not included, even though he performed brilliantly. I thought in the Irani Trophy, Amarnath. I'm not sure if you had a chance.
Yes,
to see that.
I saw that. He had scored a century.
Yes, indeed, he played a very, very brilliant innings. In
I think Murli Vijay also played very well.
Indeed, all of them played well in those matches. Go ahead.
See, Raina has only himself to blame. He had his chances, and he couldn't utilize it. So he has to play not just one season, a couple of seasons at Ranji and put up very big scores worthy of a Test cricketer. He will get his chance again. My feeling is he will get his chance sometime later.
Now, let's talk about the spin department.
Okay.
Healthy competition there.
But I'm not impressed with the current crop. I hope they improve.
Let's talk about it. Let's see who you're talking about here. Are you talking about R. Ashwin?
R. Ashwin, I'm not at all impressed.
Pragyan
Ojha, to some extent, he's okay.
Harbhajan is now included.
How long he will continue? He is there primarily for the psychological fact because Australians don't play him well.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I've talked to other people, also experts in with this regard, and that's exactly what they had to say also.
He is there for the psychological intimidation factor, the Turbinator. I don't mind having him in this series because if he can deliver, he can dominate. He can dominate, and in the last match he did take 4 wickets. But he has lost some of his earlier magic. If he can get it back, nothing like it. But India needs. There was another bowler by name Parvez Rasool from Kashmir.
Yes,
from the Kashmir Valley.
Correct.
And he bowled pretty well. For an off spinner, he bowled really well. He troubled the Australians quite a lot. And he's being mentored by Bedi, so I would give a lot of the youngsters, given that Australians are weak against off spin, I would have a stable of about 5 off spinners and make them compete against each other and throw Australia off the track.
Now, and talking about Australia, Usman Khwaja finally will get a chance to play. Yes. Let's see if he gets to play in all the matches, but definitely he's on the cards. His name is there now.
Yes.
Usman Khwaja, we have seen him play for Australia. He bats at number 3. Brilliant batsman. And it will be, we'll see how he performs in India.
Australian batting is fairly strong. I don't know about the bowling in Indian conditions, how they'll perform. That's going to be the main challenge for the Australians. Their batting, they have a brilliant batsman, of course, in Clark. Michael Clark knows how to play spin bowling. In 2004, he scored a brilliant 150 against India. So I would rate this Australian team as not one of the best to visit India, but it is not one of their worst either. Somewhere in between, it's a promising Australian team which is in a rebuild mode. It's a work in progress. And if they get their confidence back, if they do well against India, their Ashes tour of England will be interesting to watch.
Amarnath, also will before I wrap up India and Australia, we don't have that much time left either. Some of the listeners also asked questions regarding the domestic structure in India, and especially we were questions about comments about the recently concluded Ranji Trophy matches, which I thought they were contested superbly, Amarnath.
Yes, the Ranji matches,
superbly contested matches.
The Irani matches, they're all extremely well contested. I would prefer some better incentives at every level to bring out the best of the players. And I remember you had mentioned that article of Harsha Bhogle.
That's where I'm coming to eventually.
Harsha Bhogle had a very nice article about the lack of competitive spirit. The lack of competitive spirit in Ranji matches, because it is so much first innings lead oriented.
I guess what he was also hinting at is, once any team gets
a first innings lead,
they tend to become a little lazy. They don't have the killer attitude.
They don't have the killer. They don't go all out for a win. So there are two ways to incentivize teams. First of all, make the teams a bit more equal in terms of playing talent. Well, second, they have to make sure that if you win, you get twice the points.
You're playing days, Amarnath. Back in the days when you played, how was the selection back then? I mean, how were you selected to represent a state?
You were essentially you had to be a member of that state. You had to be registered in that state.
Not the case these days now.
Not the case these days. They need to make it even more. I would prefer like a draft system like baseball in this country, where the weakest teams get the first choice of the next pool.
That's a great idea.
I would prefer at least in the top 8 level, the teams which are getting relegated, they get the choice. Either that's in some form or the other, strengthen the teams so that all teams become equally competitive. And I remember a long time back, South Africa used to have a very interesting format for their Currie Cup.
Yes. Thanks for mentioning that.
They used to have 4-day matches, but they used to bowl 110 overs a day, not 90 overs.
Correct.
110 overs a day. They used to start early and finish late, provided the sunlight was good enough. They used to play 110 overs, so that's effectively playing 440 overs over 4 days. It's almost like a test match. What happens is they strengthen the body a lot better. So they need to bring something of that sort. Now, especially in the south, during the summer months, you can start playing cricket from morning 7:30 onwards.
Yes, indeed.
You don't have to wait till 10 o'clock. You can start from 8 o'clock. Start playing from 8 o'clock. Play 110 overs a day. Strengthen your fitness. Go for a win. And they should incentivize in terms of the point schedule. You win a match. And also, I would prefer like a handicapping system. If a team A beats a weak team, they don't get bonus points. But if a weak team beats a strong team, they get bonus points.
Amarnath, I did like your idea about the draft system.
I would like a draft system.
I think it's a great idea.
I would like a handicapping system in the sense that make it for a team to beat Team A to beat Team B, they should win by a bigger margin to qualify for the points.
Real quickly before we sign off, how would you rate the current selection committee, Amarnath? The work that they're doing, I know they have just started recently, not too long ago.
They've made a good start.
But if you ask me, I think they made a fairly good start, Amarnath.
They've made a good start. And they need to be consistent.
And I'm talking about Sandeep Patil and the team.
Yes, Sandeep Patil. They've made a good start. They need to be consistent. They need to explain why, what is influencing their selections. They don't have to go on a player-by-player basis. I hope they can deliver the goods. That's more important. And I would prefer a system by which is transparent.
What do you mean by that?
Like if they say, anybody who's in the top 3 bowlers, fast bowlers in Ranji will always be at least in India A, if not in the Indian team. They give broad criteria, they lay it out. So nobody wonders why somebody was selected. It's not some mama bhanja of the selectors who saw it.
Recently you had a chance to visit the National Cricket Academy.
Yes.
In Bangalore. And it was, you were accompanied by
Syed Kirmani.
Mr. Syed Kirmani. What was your take on the NCA? How does one get selected to the NCA?
I think National Cricket Academy people are called in for coaching camps there, essentially. They come up with a list of 30 probables. Mm-hmm. The selectors come up with an outside list of 30 probables, and from that list, they are asked to come and practice at the Cricket Academy. I saw that Varun Aaron.
Varun Aaron, yes.
The fast bowler, he was there and he was practicing.
Indeed.
So they have all the facilities.
I believe Varun is from Ranchi.
Yeah, he's a Jharkhand
guy.
Jharkhand guy.
One of Dhoni's boys there. Well, Amanath, unfortunately, that's all the time we had for today.
Okay.
And yes, indeed, we will continue our discussion, and listeners can also listen to the today's broadcast on our YouTube channel. It will be uploaded hopefully by tomorrow.
Yes, by tomorrow morning.
Does a fantastic job on that thing. Just log on to YouTube and just type in Full Toss Cricket Show, and you can listen to today's recording tomorrow. And you can always visit our blog, fulltosscricket.com. Listeners can also leave their comments there, Amanath. They can leave their questions. You have questions for us, leave a comment there, and we'll have Amanath answer that for you. Friends, you were listening to Full Toss. This is your host, Amit, along with Amanath on Radio Dil, online, radiodil.com for iPhone downloads. Application is known as Radio Dil. You can also listen to us on your regular phones, dialing the number 408-418-5000 for Android phones. Application known as TuneIn Radio. Phone number in the studio 732-800-1008. Aap sun rahe Radio Dil, Dil se Dil tak. This is your host Amit, and I'll be here on Wednesday afternoon for my show Ek Pal Amit ke saath.
Wonderful.
That's every Wednesday is 12 to 1. So I'll join you there. I would like to thank all the listeners for the support they've been giving us for so long, and also I want to thank our listeners on YouTube for their continuous support. So thank you from our Full Toss team. But above all, Amanath, I want to thank you for your contribution, your expertise, and your knowledge you bring to this table. It makes it absolutely much more interesting.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure and privilege to share cricketing views with the audience.
We'll be back here for our next week's show, Amanath. Till then, everybody have a fantastic weekend.